So last night I gave myself kind of a challenge. I said, all right, I'm going to open up an old pack of French Pro Set cards. I've got old hockey cards in the room there. I was like, all right, I'm going to open up a pack, fan them out, face down, ask if I want to just pick a couple out. So she picked two out, and one of them was actually Luc Robitaille. So you see, it's in French. So yeah, that's pretty fun. And I was ready to do a video on whoever their name got pulled. I didn't really care that who it was going to be or if it was going to be a journeyman. Well, that's pretty easy. Now the second one that she pulled, a pretty big name as well. So yeah, here we go. We're going to talk about Luc Robitaille, who's known for being an LA King, bounced around a little bit, but always seemed to end up with LA. His heart was in Los Angeles. They drafted him in the ninth round. They drafted him 171st overall. Pretty good for a ninth round draft pick. In 1984, he gets drafted, and then in 1986, he comes out of nowhere. The exciting player, if you were a Kings fan back then, was really Jimmy Carson. Jimmy Carson was going to be kind of the future down the middle, and Robitaille was kind of a happy accident. 79 games played in 86, 87, 45 goals, 39 assists, 84 points. He wins the Calder, and he's a second-team All-Star on the left wing. 5 games played in the playoffs, 1 goal, 4 assists for 5 points. His second year, he gets to that next level. He gets his first of what would be 3 50-goal seasons in his career. 80 games played, 53 goals, 58 assists, 111 points. First-team All-Star. In the playoffs, 5 games played, 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points. It is that summer that things change in LA, where here comes Mr. Gretzky, and that will change everything. So Wayne Gretzky comes in, though for Luc Robitaille, he remains remarkably consistent. Plays 78 games that season, 46 goals, 52 assists, 98 points. Again, he's a first-team All-Star. Now, 11 games played in the playoffs, 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points. But the perception is, well, the Kings, now with Gretzky, they've got a really good shot at winning a Stanley Cup at some point soon because it's Wayne Gretzky. He's got 4 Stanley Cup rings from Edmonton. 90-91, or 89-90, I should say, 80 games played, 52 goals. So that's the second of 3 50-goal seasons. 49 assists, 101 points. Again, first-team All-Star. 10 games in the playoffs, 5 goals, 5 assists, 10 points in those playoffs. 90-91, 76 games played, 45 goals, 46 assists, 91 points. He is very, very reliable. His goals fluctuate between 45 and 53. Fantasy dream. You got him on your fantasy hockey team, you know how many points and goals you're going to get from him. Again, first team All-Star, 12 games played in the playoffs, 12 goals, 4 assists, 16 points. So, 12 goals in 12 playoff games, pretty darn solid totals. And he's really, honestly, again, very, very reliable. That reliability continues in 91-92. 80 games played, 44 goals, 63 assists, 107 points. Again, a first-team All-Star. They're out in the first round that year. 6 games, 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points. And this is where the rumblings of, okay, but are the Kings built to really win the Cup start to come up. So you've got Blake on the blue line, you've got Hrudey in net, and you've got Robitaille, Gretzky, and others up front. And for a while there, they had Bernie Nichols before he goes to the Rangers, and there were numerous really good players on this roster, but there were some questions about whether or not the Kings would win the big one. 92-93, Luc Robitaille is a big part of what was a great team. Career year, 63 goals, 62 assists over an 84-game schedule. Yes, they played 84 games that year and the year after. 125 points, again a first-team All-Star, 24 games, 9 goals, 13 assists, 22 points. That 63 goals and 125 points probably would have got him more Hart Trophy votes, but there was this guy named Gretzky on the team. Yeah. And, of course, they went to the Stanley Cup Finals. So things looked like they were on the ups for the LA Kings and for Luc Robitaille. It's only a matter of time. Everything changes over the next 12 months. 83 games played the following year, 44 goals, 42 assists, 86 points. Again, the goals are there from Robitaille. It is the lowest points total he had since his rookie season, but still, pretty solid player. However, the Kings outside the playoffs. Now, the Penguins are looking to get back to being a Stanley Cup champion, and the Kings are looking to switch things up to get back to the playoffs. So they work out a deal. July 29th of 1994, Luc Robitaille, who I think all of us thought was going to be a King for his whole career, he gets sent to Pittsburgh in exchange for Rick Tocchet and a 1995 second-round pick. And it never looks right to see Robitaille in a Penguins jersey, although one of the most famous goals that Robitaille ever scored was in a Penguins jersey. And that's during the 1995 playoffs after a regular season that's shortened by a lockout. 46 games, 23 goals, 19 assists, 42 points. It is notable. His points per game drops below 1 point for the first time in his career. In the playoffs, 12 games played, 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points. Solid, and the most memorable goal of his career, May 14th, Game 5, overtime, game-winning goal versus the Washington Capitals. So he's not a Penguin for long, but he's there long enough to know we have to beat the Capitals, right? And yeah, that's kind of how that works. So 94-95, he scores a big goal against the Capitals, but it doesn't work in Pittsburgh. And I will commend Pittsburgh for realizing within a year that it's not going to work. August 31st, 1995, he is traded with Ulf Samuelsson, not a personal favorite of mine, in exchange for Peter Nedved and Sergei Zubov going to the Penguins from the New York Rangers. Nedved bounced around quite a bit. At some point, I'll have to do a Nedved video because his career is an interesting one to look at. And of course, Zubov, Hall of Famer, and Robitaille, Hall of Famer. So you've got 2 Hall of Famers involved in this trade. And while I think, I don't know if he enjoyed his time more with the Rangers than with the Penguins, it still didn't look right. But the first season with the Rangers, the goal scoring wasn't really what it had been either. 77 games, 23 goals, 46 assists, 69 points. In the playoffs, 11 games played, 1 goal, 5 assists, 6 points. I remember that foot speed became a conversation with Luc Robitaille. I don't know if it was at this point, but I know at some point there were questions about whether or not his skating stride was quite where it had been and his speed. In the end, the hands were good enough that it overcame a lot of that. His second and last season with the Rangers, 69 games played, 24 goals, 24 assists, 48 points. So the goal scoring was mildly better than the previous year. The points are down, the assists are down. He plays 15 games in the playoffs, 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points for the Rangers, and then they traded him. So 2 years, almost to the day after he's traded by Pittsburgh to the Rangers trade him back to St. Louis, or back to LA. Never should have left LA. For Kevin Stevens. So Luc Robitaille goes there for Kevin Stevens, a player who, of course, was part of the early 90s Penguins that were so darn good. And, Stevens would go to the Rangers, and Robitaille goes back to the Kings. That first year with the Kings, 57 games, 16 goals, 24 assists, 40 points. It's not quite where it was. In the playoffs, 4 games played, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. Of course, the Kings he comes back to a few years later are quite markedly different than the Kings that he left. And the expectation of, hey, we got Gretzky, maybe we're going to win a cup, that's long gone. 98-99, he starts to rediscover that scoring touch. 82 games, 39 goals, 35 assists, 74 points. Worthy of note, this is during what we would call the dead puck era. So he is scoring 39 goals here, which to me is just as impressive as 45 goals here because goal scoring is down across the National Hockey League. So that's an impressive total. No playoff games. He stays in LA, 99, 2000, 71 games, 36 goals, 38 assists, 74 points. The points total stays the same despite playing 11 less games. And again, he looks like a 40 goal scorer. He's back. Now in the playoffs, 4 games, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. He takes that next step the following season. 82 games, 37 goals, 51 assists, 88 points. And again, I would take this 88-point season and say this is more impressive in 2000-2001 than the 98-point season here, the first year Gretzky got there. Because, again, scoring is down. The adjusted points guys can all go out and look at that if they want. But I'm just saying scoring was down in 2000-2001, and that's an impressive total. In the playoffs, the Kings, kind of a Cinderella story that year, 13 games, 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points. But he leaves the Kings. For the second time, he is leaving the LA Kings, and it always feels weird when he's wearing another jersey, even though July 5th of 2001, it's the Detroit Red Wings that come calling. So again, the Detroit Red Wings, who people were saying, they seem slow and older, and why are they picking up Luc Robitaille? That's just going to make them older and slower. And Luke says, 81 games played that first year in Detroit, 30 goals, 20 assists, 50 points. The points are not where they were, but they don't have to be. Detroit is not relying on Luc Robitaille to be this Luc Robitaille. They're like, go out and chip in a goal here and there. The rest of us will handle it. Plays 23 games in the playoffs, 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points, and gets his Stanley Cup ring. And I remember looking back at that, as much as I was kind of like, Detroit again, but I was happy for Luc Robitaille. I was very happy to see him get a Stanley Cup ring with the Detroit Red Wings. I thought that was an impressive story. 2002-2003, his final year in Detroit, the scoring drops off. 81 games, 11 goals, 20 assists, 31 points. They got swept in the playoffs that year. He had 1 goal in 4 games. And that's where, again, the conversation then becomes, yep, Detroit's too old. They're too old. They're too slow. And so Luc Robitaille becomes an unrestricted free agent. Where's he going to go? He has to go back to L.A. He belongs in L.A. He's an L.A. King. So July 24th of 2003, he signs as an unrestricted free agent with the Kings, plays 80 games, 22 goals, 29 assists, 51 points in the last year before we had a year wiped out with the lockout. No playoff games, but still, the 51 points in 80 games, that's a good story. Coming out of the lockout, he does play the following season, 65 games. We kind of know this is his last year. 15 goals, 9 assists, 24 points. And it was obvious pretty early on that year that this would be his final season. April 11th, 2006, he makes it official, and he retires from the National Hockey League. Plays 1,431 games, which is 31st overall. 668 goals, which is 13th. When he retires, he's the #1 scoring left winger in history. There's a left winger that I think might be ahead of him now. 726 assists, which is 49th. 1,394 points, which is 22nd all time. So, Hall of Fame? Yes. He reaches the Hall of Fame in 2009. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think anybody's going to question that. Also, with 247 power play goals, he's 5th on the all-time list in power play goals. January 20th, 2007, the LA Kings retired his number. He got cup rings also in 2012 and 2014 as president of business operations with the LA Kings. The Los Angeles Kings keep Luc around, and he now has 3 cup rings. 1 as a player, and 2 as being part of the management of the LA Kings. And so again, while I may not have been a Kings fan in 2012 or 2014, it was nice to see Luc get a couple more rings. 1991, he won a gold at the Canada Cup. 1994, he wins gold at the World Championships. And I can't not mention this. He's in D2, Mighty Ducks. He has a cameo in that. And he also has a cameo in Sudden Death, where he delivers a line that, yeah, it's something. I can't repeat it here. But that I remember watching that movie and going, oh, I hope Luc got paid well for that. I really do. But 159 games played in the playoffs, 58 goals, 69 assists, 127 points. And honestly, yeah, pretty solid Hall of Fame credentials for Luc Robitaille. Arguably one of the best left wingers in the history of the game. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.